All right, so it is 6:31. I now call this meeting of the council to order. Let's go to a quick attendance, see who's here, who's not. Emmanuel is coming a little later. Alyssa,
Here.
Lauren,
Here.
Megan, I don't see Megan. Nick is at baseball. Summer,
Here.
Uma has work. Yana,
Here.
I'm here. Anthony,
Here.
awesome. Maggie, I don't see Maggie. Jenna,
Yeah.
Jenna, Will, I don't see William. And Ellie. Oh, wait, Ellie.
Here.
And Thomas.
Here.
Awesome, thanks. All right. Anyone from the public who wishes to speak? I don't see anyone. No, I don't see anyone. And then we move on to the approval of the minutes. Anthony, do you want to go over what happened last meeting? Awesome.
Yeah, so for last meeting, we started by having a safe route to school presentation from Judith Crocker, who is the senior outreach coordinator from Massachusetts Safe Route to School. And she gave a really detailed report about the walking assessment on February 5th, which Maggie Fournier joined, and she provided us with some details about some areas, some positive areas, and also a lot of areas of concern for students, and what she called active transport, students who are either walking or biking to school rather than driving or traveling by bus. We also had some updates on youth council application process. Application deadline has now passed, but those applications will be assessed in the near future. We also had some updates just from mental health working group and the outreach subcommittee, and that was about it.
Awesome. Thanks, Anthony. Do I hear a motion to accept those minutes?
I motion.
Thanks, Lauren. Hear a second?
Second.
Thanks, Alyssa. Alyssa,
Yes.
Lauren,
Yes.
Summer,
Yes.
Yana,
Yes.
and Jenna.
Yeah.
Awesome, thanks. Okay, next on the agenda, we have our introductions for our new school committee and town councilors. So we had an election last week, I think, or 2 weeks ago, and we have a few new school committee and town council members, and want them to come introduce themselves. So we can start with town council. So Chairwoman Judith Galvin, welcome.
Thank you.
So you want to introduce yourself and
Sure. So I'm Julie Smith Galvin. I was just elected chair of the town council. Doesn't really mean a lot, I guess, except I run the meetings as Jack does, and get to represent the town in many exciting places. So and the youth council came and spoke to us on Monday night, and really, you're doing wonderful, impressive work. So keep up the good work. Thank you for all of your leadership. And I look forward to working with you over the next year.
Awesome, thanks. And then we can go to the school committee. So we can start off with Kevin, if you want to introduce yourself.
Sure, yeah. Thank you, Jack. And thanks for this opportunity to be here. I saw many of you last night. And for those that weren't there, it's nice to meet you all, at least virtually. Again, my name is Kevin Piscablo, and I was elected to the 2-year seat on the Wakefield School Committee. So because some people had resigned last year, it was a unique election where there was the traditional 3-year seats, which you'll be introduced to them. There was a 2-year seat and then a 1-year seat. So I had served previously on the school committee back when you were probably all in elementary school, back in 2008, 2007 to 2013 or so. And I worked professionally in higher education. So thought it might be a good time to re-engage. Like many of you, I went through the Wakefield public school system as well. So I've always been particularly interested in things going on here in town. The youth council came about obviously well after my service, but I've continued to be impressed by the work that you're all doing and look forward to whatever interactions we can have to support each other as we do all we can to continue to grow this town and to make it and continue to be the place we all love growing up in and hopefully remaining in. So thanks for this invitation to be here, and I look forward to seeing the rest of the meeting and certainly continuing to work together.
Awesome, thanks. Amy Wall.
Jack,
Yeah, sorry, Kevin.
can I add a bonus question on for each newly elected official?
Yeah, go ahead.
Maybe one activity or sport that they were involved in while they were in high school.
Julie, do you want to go first?
I won't be any great surprise. I was a student government.
At Wakefield High, I was a very poor athlete, but I kept trying every year. So I played hockey very poorly, but had a great time. And then my last couple of years, I was involved in the drama club and kind of got engaged in that area, which I hadn't done before, and totally fell in love with it. But yearbook, student government, everything like Julia, probably most of us here.
Ms. Waldron, go next.
Hi, thanks everybody for the opportunity. Like Kevin had mentioned, I saw some of you last night with the great presentation that you gave, so it's good to see you again and some new faces. My name is Amy Wall. I was just elected to the one-year seat for Student Council. Kevin briefly explained that they're normally 3-year seats, but because of some resignations, we have the 1- and 2-year seats. So I'll be fulfilling the 1-year seat for this year. To answer Catherine's question, in high school, I was a gymnast and a cheerleader. I was also involved with the Latin club, the diversity club, and a little bit of the drama club. My freshman year, my senior year, I graduated from the high school in '98. So that's a little bit about me. I'm looking forward to working with everybody. One thing that had stood out, a student had asked me a really important question about how I would like to work with the students. I think it's important. You guys all have a great voice and bring a lot of great ideas to the table. I want to make sure that you guys feel comfortable coming to us with any issues, as well as other students. So if there's other things that other students want to bring to the table and they might not be involved in student government, I think it's important, you know, that you let them know that they can come to us with any issues. You guys are our voices, and we want to know what you guys have to say. So thank you. I appreciate the opportunity.
Awesome, thank you. Mr. Ingalls?
Thank you, Jack. And thank you all for having us. Again, saw a few of you last night. Also saw a few of you at the town council. It's so great to see you all engaged at this level. It's just boggles my mind from when I was in high school. The idea that you're doing such like important work on the town level is amazing. High school marching band, I did for 4 years, and I was dedicated. I thought I was really good. I played trumpet, trombone, and then I think the band director thought I'd be better off with a pair of cymbals. So that was my lot. It was pretty good. Any times we played John Williams was fantastic. So in terms of to what Amy had said, I also got some correspondence asking, how I would be open to being approached by students. How would I deal with any students that would feel sort of intimidated coming to school committee? And I sort of blush at that, because the idea of anyone being intimidated coming to myself, I get lost in that. Like, how is that possible? Before I do my current job. My current job is I'm a project manager in a pharmaceutical company, and I do like technology infrastructure. Before that, I spent 20 years in the construction industry. A lot of that time I was a foreman, and I dealt with projects where I would get new apprentices, often sort of persons right out of high school. And what I would find valuable and what I learned is that everyone has a voice and everyone has something to contribute. So sort of for a lot of my career, I found it important to listen to all of the voices around us, no matter where they come from. So sort of similar to what Amy was saying, anyone across the spectrum throughout the district, educators, students, I hope to just let it known that I'm an open door. I'd love to hear your ideas. Anything you want to share, you think we can do better. I always want to be there to listen. So thank you for the chance.
Thank you. And finally, Ms. Lehman.
Hi. Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here. I am a mom of a 3rd grader at the Walton, and I have a 5th grader at the Galvin. And my 3rd grader is actually on an IEP, so I'm very familiar with special education. That's my specialty. Well, I'm not an advocate or anything, like a professional advocate, but I've learned a lot going through. She was diagnosed with autism when she was almost 3 years old. So I've had the opportunity to meet with a lot of doctors, developmental pediatricians and stuff like that. So seeing you as older kids are great role models for my kids. And I do hope that my girls grow up to be as great students as you are. And so I graduated in 1990. I'm an older mom. And back then, sports were really huge for girls. I did play field hockey. And then I remember when my junior year, they're like, you need to get some stuff on when you're applying for colleges, you need things other than field hockey. So I signed up for like student government, and we used to take the orange line to the State House, me and this other girl. We didn't really know what we were doing, but it was a lot of fun. So there was some great memories there, and that was on my resume for my college applications. But like the other school committees members said, we're here to listen, we're here to help. I truly want every graduate from Wakefield High to graduate as a confident learner, like the mission says. I know I want for my kids a little more than what I was when I graduated. So if there's anything that we can do to help you and your peers, please don't. We're an email away. So thank you for having us.
Awesome, thank you. Do you have any questions for either new school committee members and new town council members? No? Well, thank you all for being here. You are welcome to, oh, Lauren, your question.
Yeah, sorry, I just thought of it as you were transitioning. I was wondering if you guys could go around and just kind of talk about an initiative or something that you'd like to see either yourselves or have us implement in either the town for the town council or school committee for the schools. So whether that be continuing to work on safe routes to school at the town level or having us do it, just some kind of initiative that you'd like to see with youth involvement or for the purpose of benefiting the youth.
I'll start. And Lauren, I think the Safe Routes to School is the perfect thing to start with because it matters so much to the walkers in town. So I think it's also something that we can really unite around in town. It doesn't matter kind of what you think about some of the other issues. Everybody wants sidewalks that connect from their home to their school. There's a concept now called it's called the 10-minute city. And we're only 7.5 miles square in Wakefield. There is no reason why anybody in any part of town could not reasonably walk or ride a bike, if they're physically able to get to a supermarket, to get to services or some sort of a recreational area. But we really need to make sure that we connect the town. And so the efforts that Safe Streets is doing, the bonding that we've done on roads will include some upgrades of sidewalks, but we need to help map where, we're only 7.5 square miles, but we're something like, I think it's like when you put it all together, it's like 80 miles. I have the numbers somewhere, but because we have a lot of these small towns, small roads. So a couple of years ago, I think Catherine, the youth action team helped us actually mark down where there was a lot of litter in town. And we almost need to do the same sort of audit, get an app together and figure out exactly where there are sidewalk breaks or sidewalks that aren't working or disappeared or are, have holes in them, and really encourage kind of that sort of connectivity around town. So I would love to have your help on that. I think Brian would agree with me, hopefully.
Awesome, we can go school members the way we went before. So Kevin, Amy, Stephen, Amy.
Sure, yeah. The first thing that kind of jumps to my mind, Lauren, when you asked that question was thinking about the new high school project that's going to be coming online. This is a little longer process. It may include some of you, but certainly I think some of the people that will follow you on this board. And one of the things that we were talking about last night, Superintendent Lyons had shared the news that we had recently kind of moved on to another module. There's 8 different steps as you go along. And it's not like we're far, but we're on module 3, but that's good. And it will continue from there. And one of the things our colleague, Tom Martin, was talking about is that there's a group that had been assembled to look certainly at the building aspect of it, but there's a group that they were looking for someone from the school committee to join him on to really look at kind of the educational needs. So we have the building people, but what about people who can look at the educational needs? And then I think that there's a third group out there that plays a very important role, and that's all of you, that's students. What's the lived experience in these buildings? What are the types of environments, classrooms, technology? What are the sorts of things that you need now, or for the people that are going to be in that building when it's finally completed? But then also to think about what is it that we're going to need in the future? Because you don't want to build a building that's going to become obsolete really quickly. What are the types of things that we're going to need later on? And just seeing some of the organization that you did, some of the other issues that you've dealt with, and utilizing some of those skills. Because part of this process is not just going through these 8 steps, but it is eventually working with all of our neighbors to approve this and to pay for it through their taxes. And that takes a campaign. And I think to have the voices of students and the youth in this community would be a really valuable one to be able to add to all the others that will inevitably be out there. But it's a tough thing to do. And it does require a campaign just like the one that you've recently undertaken. So many of you have. So that's the thing that first kind of jumps up to my mind. I think one way, it certainly was one reason why I had decided to run, because I'd gone through with the Galvin process. But I think when you're thinking of high school, this is a really critical building for so many different reasons. To have that, yes, that educational, that building experience, but the student perspective is going to be really valuable. So any ways that this body, both now and in the future, can contribute to that, I think would be really, really valuable.
I think I was next, right? Perfect. That's a great question, Lauren. My main goals to focus on for right now would be the student mental health, and I'm so glad that you guys did the survey and you explained that all to us last night. It's something I want to do a deeper dive into. My other big thing to focus on is the teen vaping and drug abuse. It's something that this country is seeing a huge increase in, and it's something that's very important to me. And I want to make sure that we're doing what we can to make sure that this isn't a path that our students are going down. I'd like to, Catherine, I'd like to set up maybe a time to meet with you, kind of pick your brain a little bit on those issues. And I love the ideas of the surveys that you guys did. I think they were great, and seeing more of those going forward to see what our students need. It was nice to see, I shouldn't say nice, it was a little sad and alarming to see what kind of responses some of the kids had given. Not unexpected, but it's something that I think we need to look further into, and seeing ways that we can offer help and finding resources for kids that need it, and even kids that maybe don't think they need it, but finding out where these issues lie and how we can support them. And especially going back with the drug abuse, finding, when I was a kid, we had the DARE program. I don't believe the DARE program exists anymore. I think that there's been studies show that program didn't necessarily work, as unfortunately we're seeing now with a lot of issues. So I think it's something that maybe we can work together and find out different ways of combating that and trying to get that under control as much as possible. So I look forward to working with you guys on issues like that.
So first, thank you, Lauren, for the question. I appreciate it. I'd first off by saying, so this, my first foray into school committee, I don't necessarily know yet what I don't know. So I'm looking forward to sort of finding sort of where the gaps are and how those issues can be addressed. What Kevin has said with the high school, what Amy has said with potential drug use, the mental health, that's all really important. What I know sort of immediately that sort of I have my hands on is the topic of diversity, sort of inclusion in our schools and its exposure on various levels. So my kids they're in kindergarten and second grade. They go to the Woodville school. And we have some neighbors in the area with similarly aged kids. And those parents don't necessarily feel comfortable sending their children to our schools because they don't think that it's the best environment for their diverse culture. So that made me a little sad. So it got me sort of thinking and working with my wife. And what we've started, we talked to librarian Miss Barano. I don't know if any of you know her, maybe, and the BB library, and just looking at sort of asking her what's in the stacks, like what kind of books, what literature, what curriculum materials are we exposing our students to, and is it reflective of our society? And so she came back and said, no, it's not. So we're going through an initiative now to sort of help her clean up those stacks, and both through diverse authors, diverse topics, protagonists, and just subject matter, expose our kids to more of the world and not just sort of a what they see every day outside their door. So that's kind of what I feel passionate about. It's why sort of I wanted to be on the policy and communication subcommittee. It's why I wanted to be a liaison with the HRC, as I just want to find better ways to sort of just do better in that arena, because I think our community would be better served for it.
I just want to say, Stephen, it's too bad Emanuela is not on this call, because she actually just changed her liaison role to be it's the humanities curriculum student advisor. She's going to be working with Mr. Pavey and on like the diversity curriculum and some of the ways to incorporate some of the Native American education into the curriculum. So we'll definitely connect the two of you together, because that's definitely a passion of hers as well.
Absolutely. It seems like an exciting time and an opportunity to sort of take some chances and open some horizons. And I'm looking forward to it.
So I like this question because everyone's answer was a little different, and I'm glad we have a balance, like a unique board where everyone's not coming in with the same perspective. My answer is going to be similar to Stephen's in a way. A couple years ago, I reached out to the other elementary schools. I'm a Walton mom, and we have this program called the Learning About Differences in Disabilities. It's LAD, and it kind of was dormant for a few years, and we're bringing it back. And it's basically teaching children at the elementary school about invisible disabilities, people that we had a speaker in, and he was missing some of his arm. And young kids are so accepting, right? And I think the earlier we teach kids that, and I'd actually like to change the name to Celebrating Similarities, because I think we're more the same than different. I don't really like the differences in there, but where everyone knew the name, we just kept it that way. And I just have two like quick stories. When my daughter was in kindergarten, and there was Caleb's family came in and taught about the menorah and the way they celebrate their Jewish holiday, and she came home and actually put menorah on her Christmas list because that was exciting to her. And then another quick story was my girlfriend's son, when he was in maybe third grade, he broke his leg so bad that he was in a wheelchair, and the kids his friends just used to fight over who was going to wheel him in the wheelchair, and one actually asked for a wheelchair for Christmas. He wanted Santa to bring him a wheelchair. So my hope is that if we can really teach these kids in the elementary school how important it is to be accepting, and there is no, like, there's not one religion, there's many religions, there's not one race, there's many races. When we all roll into the Galvin school, it will just be, there'll be less bullying and there'll be more acceptance. So I guess that's where my focus would like to be.
Awesome, thank you. I know that there is a very important zoning board meeting at 7, so I want to let you guys go if you have to be there. But thank you all so much for being here, and you're welcome to stay if you want. But it was great to have you all on here.
Thank you. Sorry, I am tapping out because I have to go to the zoning board meeting.
It's all good.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with everybody. Bye, guys.
Thank you, guys. All right, if no other questions for our school committee and town council members, we move on to a discussion with Brian from Safe Streets. And so as you all know, Judy from Safer School came last week, and we kind of discussed a few major topics that we were discussing. So like no idling, increasing visibility on street corners, like taking away brush, adding sidewalk, decreasing sidewalks, fixing arrows and stuff like that. So, Brian, what do you think like we can do to help with that, especially, or like what do you see the youth council's role in those type of situations?
Sure. Before I start though, Julie's going to participate in this as well too. Julie was actually the co-founder of Safe Streets with John Chrisley. And I just got involved as a I call myself a cyclist, but that's not really accurate. I'm coming full cycle. I'm going back to training wheels on my bike here soon. But before I get to that, I just want to say, and many members of the school committee had already said this, I happened to be doing some volunteer work at CAT last night and heard your presentation and saw the reports. And I just want to say that as they all told, as they all told you last night, not just the survey, the quality of the survey itself, but the compiling of the data and then the reporting and the observations. I thought that was very, very impressive. You did an excellent job on that. And all of you are to be commended, I think, in just interpreting data. Sometimes you have so many numbers, it's tough to put them in perspective and say, what does it all mean? But you did an outstanding job. So thank you for that. So Julie, jump in here too if you want. Julie and I spoke briefly online earlier today. And I think our question is, how can we support you guys rather than the other way around? My understanding is that at the Safe Streets meeting in April, it was election night. So Julie, I don't know whether you were there long or not. I don't think you probably
I wasn't there. No, I
Right.
wasn't there at all.
You just signed over hosting to John.
I just came on to sign over hosting. It was a busy night.
Yep. So my understanding is that when Judy made the presentation on the Safe Routes to School, the walk audit, that we had 6 people that were there. I was not there either. Always coincides with school committee night. So I'm sort of helping out there. But the goal, I think, for Safe Streets in the very near term would be to share that with the 35 to 40 people we have on our email list so that when we meet again, everybody has seen it. We talked about doing it earlier, and Judy was concerned that if you hadn't heard the details, heard her observations, as you guys know, because you've heard it, that you could misinterpret and maybe come away with some misinformation. So we'd like to share that and then have you guys join that meeting as well. So that would be May 25th. We meet at 7 o'clock. For as many people as can be there, that would be great. And I think 2 of you, Summer and Madeline Fournier, are both on that email list for Safe Streets. They signed up early on, so they may be there anyway, which would be great. But again, I'm going to ask you, Jack, and everybody else on the panel, and Julie, jump in. What would you need us to do to help you support those efforts better? Safe Streets is an alliance member of Safe Routes to School, but how can we help you guys, basically? What did you see in that report that we can help get put into place?
I can go first. I thought, which I thought was super interesting, is that there are no idling signs everywhere. And I think in Wakefield, part of our 2030 vision is reducing carbon emissions. I think that is a super easy task that we can get on to kind of encourage people either at the high school or middle school to don't turn your car on unless you need to. I know I don't do it anymore. I used to. I went a few years ago, but now I don't. I know how bad passive emissions are for the environment. So I think that is super important and really easy way to kind of cut down on our town's emissions. I think that's an important one. That was super interesting that Judy brought up. What about anyone else? Lauren, do you want to?
Yeah, I think one specific area that I'd like to see focused on is Farm Street and Hemlock, kind of by the high school in the Woodville. I know as a kind of new driver, it's pretty scary navigating that in the morning and in the afternoon with so much traffic, and especially this year because the pickup times are so close together. And I think especially for new drivers and younger drivers, it's a lot to navigate when there are a lot of people there. Everybody's turning a different way. So I'm not sure how much can be done with that. We might have to paint some more arrows. But I think that that's definitely an area that I'd like to see improved.
Lauren, did she go through the arrival dismissal report with you guys as well, or was it just the walk audit?
I think she did that.
Okay.
So,
Just for the Woodville.
At it too.
Right.
I don't think she's done the arrival dismissal audit of the Galvin yet.
No, it was just the Woodville
Well,
because
it
she
was
was
just Woodville, right?
yeah, because she was talking about saying like the worst might had like a traffic like light there, which I thought was interesting because that left is a nightmare. I think at the end of the day, if that's like the most like the worst thing that has to happen.
So
or-
Julie, can you talk a little bit about what the proposal is for when they do the Volk and
Yeah, so it's probably still at least a year or so away, probably more. But the eventual option, I would say at this point, is when the new vocational school is built, is to direct all the traffic in and out to the vocational school, actually onto Saugus, so much further up Farm Street, up the hill, and dump it into Saugus, which would at least alleviate one school, one school's worth of traffic there. So that is definitely something. And then, of course, if the high school gets rebuilt, I think everything is kind of on the table as to how, where entrances are, lights, and all of that. It's not a short-term solution, however. I do know that the Traffic Advisory Committee has looked at this, and we do have some designs in town. And I'm wondering, and it just came to me tonight, kind of hearing this conversation, I'm wondering whether we don't request some time with the Traffic Advisory Committee to share these results and to ask them to show us kind of what the historical discussion and designs have been around there. Because some of the discussion is also, if we can't come up with what they call an engineering fix, so, lights or something physical, there has been ongoing discussion about whether we actually need to invest resources in police directing there, much like happens in front of the Galvin. So, and I don't know where that stands either, but I think that we've done a lot of work on this since the last time it was front of the Traffic Advisory Committee was probably 2 years ago. And at that time, I don't know whether you noticed, but they did put a blinking, I think it's blinking, but they put a new crosswalk in between, I guess between Hemlock and the right onto Old Nahant. And that was a result of Mary Ann Cohen and her kids advocating. So that might be one, at least one more party to bring into this, and a party that's pretty influential when it comes and has the resources of traffic engineers at their disposal as well.
So is like Bill Renault and his whole team is on that committee?
Yep, Bill Renault, VHB attends that committee. So there are basically our traffic engineers who are on retainer with the town. And so I think it's worthwhile to have them hear this. And then to hear it from you as well.
Right.
So maybe Lieutenant Anderson runs that committee.
Yeah, I know Joe well.
So, yeah, so Catherine, maybe we could just reach out, and they're generally morning meetings, but maybe when school gets out, or
maybe in the summertime.
Yep. And again, I think there's engineering solutions. I think there may be kind of personnel solutions. And then we all need to be involved, and certainly, this goes to Lauren's question, to be very vocal as there's going to be input not only on the high school, but on the vocational school as well.
We'll say that during the walk audit, Bill Renault was very familiar with what the issues were. As Judy Crocker was mentioning things, he'd already, or someone on his staff had already been looking at the same thing. So that's a positive development. So it wasn't a big surprise to anybody. And Lauren, just one other thing to your point, I have friends that live on Kennedy Circle, and if you try to get out of Kennedy Circle at the end of the school day, pretty much doesn't happen. So there's a lot that can be done that can be improved there. But Julie's right. If you guys can support that, that'd be very helpful. Anybody else?
Anthony, just on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, to echo Lauren, alongside the intersection between Hemlock and Farm Street, the intersection between Farm and the Hunt, and then also Water and Farm, those two intersections as well are just have kind of a lot of concerns with them with regard to students walking or biking, and just there's like you just said, Brian, like how it's so difficult for someone in Kennedy Circle to just get out there during school hours. It's just that that's also two more intersections that are kind of chaotic during those times as well.
When have you guys biked to school by any chance, or is everybody driving that can drive?
Does anyone?
Anybody bike or walk?
I drive.
My kids walk from my house to the Galvin, and it was interesting because there were some things that Judy showed because they then come down North Ave.
Yep.
And I was like, those are dangerous. I've definitely seen some of the danger spots that she pointed out. I think Summer was going to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, like, there's been so many car crashes. Like, I actually saw one on my way to school last week, and I think there was like 2 or 3 more this week and last week, just because both cohorts are coming back together and the Woodville I think the vote gets out, we get out at 2:05 and the vote gets out at 2:30. So I don't know if the vote is as much of a problem, but I know like the hill up to J Lot gets just filled up with cars, and it takes an extra like 20 minutes to get out of school. And I just think like the amount of car crashes lately has been wild. So I think we need to like focus on that a little bit.
And that goes back to your data, right? I mean, you guys have really kind of distinguished yourself as using data. And so I think when we talk to Lieutenant Anderson, let's ask him for the data.
That or Summer, maybe I can put you in touch with Lieutenant Anderson and you can get that. I mean, you guys saw with Judy's report, she actually saw a car get T-boned while doing the assessment at the Woodville. So, I mean, Summer, if you could, both with Lieutenant Anderson and Joe Malone, who's the SRO at the high school, he's going to have some info for you as well. If you wouldn't mind getting some of that information, because that could really help. Like Julie.
Because when we go to the traffic advisory committee, to be able to say, not just ask, but to have that information ahead of time, that's so persuasive, as you've all learned kind of how to do persuasion.
One of the things correctly Judy Crocker said to us at the beginning is Safe Routes to School really only covers K through 8. So the reason that she could do the walk audit from the high school Woodville to Galvin was because the Woodville's right there. So having you guys be able to come down to a meeting or many meetings as available, that would help having your input, because basically you're going to be speaking to the 8th graders as well on both ends of the walk or whatever it may be. But I think your perspective as high school students and what's involved, and especially, as I think Lauren said, you know, especially when you first get your license, you know, your head's going 8 miles an hour back and forth saying, what are we doing here? So you can be very beneficial to the process, no question about it.
I mean, and I have one other just idea that I'm hoping to institute at the town-wide level, but maybe you all could help me, particularly as we're going back into live events. I think every time that there's an event that is town-wide sponsored by an official body, we should tell people how to get there walking, biking, and on public transportation. And that's not always easy at the high school, but if there's an event at the high school, we should say, you know, what route to get there walking, maybe the safest, if there is public transportation, and then if there are bike racks where you could park your bike. And I would hope that that will start to first make people think about where we're doing events and whether they're accessible to everyone and maybe not only for cars. But secondly, maybe we'll encourage people to actually bike and walk. I mean, I will say there's a lot of pushback in town about putting in bike lanes. There's a lot of people who don't believe that they are effective, that they believe that they cause more traffic. And I think that we're going to have to disabuse people of those beliefs by getting out and biking and walking and showing people that we want to use them.
Totally. And I really like your point about public transit. I know the MBTA, they cut one of our town bus lines, and if we can continue to tell people to take the bus or get on the commuter rail, maybe we can get an increased amount of time the bus comes through town.
Right.
So I think that's also a really big part of Vision 2030 in general, is to make sure people rely more on public utilities than their personal car.
I did put an application in for the town to get MBTA youth passes. And it would not be for all youth. It would be for lower income youth, so families that have access, and there's a number of different programs that they might be involved in. I've spoken with the MBTA. It's unclear right now whether we qualify because we don't have a subway stop in Wakefield, but we do have buses, and they did pass Monday night at the MBTA board that communities with commuter rails will have access to the passes in the next few months. So that's another, I keep throwing things at you, but that's another thing that I would love to see the youth council lead up, that Wakefield becomes a community that offers MBTA passes to youth in need so that they can get around, not just in town, but you know, to Boston or outer towns.
Totally. Anyone else have any thoughts on this discussion? Any middle schoolers? Ali or Jenna? I think you guys or Thomas. Anyone have any thoughts on this one regarding like Galvin or something? No.
I would just say there's been some accidents on North Ave near the Galvin as well. I know in the last week, I've gotten inquiries just today, in fact. So I don't know whether that might be another data point while you're gathering it, have them pull those as well.
Oh, sorry. Catherine, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I'm curious if a survey would be helpful of students, like, do they walk or bike to school? Have they thought about it? If not, why don't they do it? And things like that. I mean, that could be further down the line, but you guys are really good at surveying. So it could be something you think about.
Julie, I haven't paid much attention, but are the bike lanes being put by the high school or just like in downtown by Albion and all that?
What's going to happen is all of the downtown revitalization, what we call Envision Wakefield downtown revitalization, those are going to be state funds, millions of dollars coming in from state funds. And the rule is if any state funding has to come with multimodal accessibility. And so essentially you're required to put in bike lanes. There will be minimal levels. It will be up to us to advocate for anything kind of above and beyond that we want. And Safe Streets to School has already held multiple meetings and made special requests. I mean, obviously the safest bike routes are protected bike routes, separate with not just painting lines, but actual separation. You know, some places that might be feasible, some places it won't. But for right now, anytime we're going to take state money to improve our roads, we're going to have to put in bike lanes. So most certainly we'll get them downtown. We're also, maybe Brian can talk more to this, we're also part of a corridor that's going to run from Malden all the way to the top of Quannapowitt. And then as the rail to trail comes in, there'll be some connections eventually all the way up to Peabody. And so we're working really hard with MAPC and some of the other regional organizations to make sure that biking can be uninterrupted, you know, for many, many miles this area. So
Yeah,
hopefully
that's a Senator Lewis initiative. That group is meeting again, I think on May 24th or something. But if you think about it, if you think about coming up from Melrose towards Wakefield, once you cross the line down in the Greenwood section, you go from Melrose, which has got all kinds of bike lanes and, you know, very much more advanced than we are. And the Main Streets program is basically, Julie, I think really going to only run down to the junction, I think, right? For the most part.
right,
North Ave and Main.
right.
Right. So you'll have that distance from that area all the way to the Melrose line that really doesn't have anything yet in place. So there's a lot that can be done there too. But Senator Lewis's, as Julie said, the Greenway project will tie in Stone and Malden, Melrose.
Right.
As Julie said. So
and we do actually have some funding from the Metropolitan Area Planning Commission to do a comprehensive bike audit and survey in Wakefield as well. And so we're hoping that we'll identify some of those. What Melrose has done is they've done some things on the main road, but they've also made neighborhood roads. So there might be a way to get from, a little tough with Crystal Lake there, but there might be ways to get around town that are not on the main corridors, and they're a little safer for families or younger, you know, kind of not hardcore cyclists. I'm certainly not. I personally think that, you know, in your generation, electric bicycles are going to become a real thing. And, you know, I think we're going to need to accommodate those as well. So we have a lot of exciting things, when we get this survey going, we're going to want feedback on that. I think Summer, if you're, we'll all just have to keep working together on all these initiatives because they all do fit in together. But the last thing we want is a study that just goes up on the shelf. We need to get the data and then fight for the results to get instituted.
Awesome. Anyone else have anything to add to this? Thank you both for coming and talking about this. This is really important stuff. I'm actually really excited about these bike business things. Those
It
things.
is. I'm excited that you're excited.
Thanks for having us.
I think the sidewalk assessment too, because we get a lot of youth that have community service hours and want to figure out how they can help. And I'm kind of, some ideas are coming through the summer.
Well, and Catherine, there's this great, I think because you're part of the walking team. So there's this great app called City Strides where you can,
Yes.
I've walked every street in Wakefield. I'm almost done with every street in Melrose. And you just turn on your watch and it GPSs you right onto the road. So it would be easy to kind of divide up and figure out how to cover every street. And maybe we can work with the DPW to go through a sort of like inventory assessment using that tool. Like we did for Literati, Catherine.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Anything else? Nice. Okay, we'll move on. So we had 2 presentations this week to the school committee and the town council. So I'm going to call on Alyssa. Do you want to go over town council, and then Lauren can go over school committee? So Alyssa, you can go first.
Yeah, sure. So me, Jack, Lauren, Anthony, and Ollie, I think I got everyone. We all presented to the town council this past Monday, and just kind of an overview of what we've done in this term so far. So we talked about the Warrior Initiative, we talked about the mental health initiative, Safe Streets, liaison positions, and our outreach to the community. So it's really just kind of like a general overview of what we've done for the past term. There wasn't too many specific things, but yeah.
Yeah, and it went well. We had a lot of great questions, and we were able to just talk to the town councilors about what we were doing, and everyone was really receptive, and I'm really happy with what we've done the past year. So it's all thanks to you guys. All the members have done a great job this year. Lauren, go school committee.
Yeah, so myself as the chair, Alyssa, Jack, Yana, Nick, and Ali. I think I got everybody this time. I know I missed Nick last time. So we presented our survey results for the surveys that we sent out to students at the Galvin and students at the high school. We made a presentation with some speaker notes, just kind of went through the data and did our own interpretations of why we think students answered the way that they did. I think it was very well received. I know a lot of people were pretty surprised at some of the results. And I think that it was almost empowering to the school committee to kind of see the way that we interpreted this, because it gives them a different perspective instead of them just reading the slideshow. So we had some really great conversations, a little bit of a Q&A, and it was really productive. And one thing that we talked about briefly but sincerely was creating a second survey to send out now that we're in a new learning model. So that might be at the end of this year or at the beginning of next year, just to kind of compare the results. So we'll have it be a similar survey with similar types of questions, but so we can compare the results between hybrid learning and full-time learning. So if anybody else wants to join in on the mental health working group, that would be great. I think the more voices we have, the better, and the more perspectives we have, the better as well. So I'm super proud of the way we handled doing that. It was a little bit scary just because there were all these elected official adults, but I think we did a really great job. So I'm really looking forward to keep on keeping on with our initiative and continuing to work with the school committee to implement some of our suggestions from the results.
Thanks, Lauren. Anyone have any questions for Alyssa or Lauren? No? Oh, cool.
No, I just wanted to say I've received several emails and texts about your presentations, and actually I got an email from Superintendent Lyons after the meeting last night wanting to set up following through on some of the next steps that you all identified. So moving forward, so I said we'll coordinate with the mental health working group And obviously, Mr. Robertson and Mr. Cedrone are really helpful in the work as well. So
Totally. All right. Next, I want to talk about applications. So we received 20 applications for the youth council's next session starting July 1st. Alyssa, Anthony, and I are going to make out the application group. Since it won't be a quorum youth council members, we do not have to have any open meetings. We will be doing interviews on a personal Zoom link, so we don't have minors reviewing certain things themselves on the internet. So me, Alyssa, Anthony, we're going to kind of go through the packet, see who's applied and who we need to interview, do all our interviews, then we will go into the town council on June 27th, I believe, or June 28th. In recommending who we think will be great voting members of the youth council for next year. So if anyone has any questions they want to ask new applicants, just email me and we can put that in our standardized question kind of Q&A. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys about that and give updates on that. Next up.
So Jack, just to clarify, because I've had some people ask me, so you will recommend voting members and other people that applied are welcome to be non-voting members?
Yes, so I'm going to send Julie and Sherry a list of people I recommend. Me, Alyssa, and Anthony agree to recommend as voting members, and the rest of people who applied are welcome to be non-voting members and be on the youth council as well. But I think that, I don't know, Julie, if you can answer this. Do you guys still need to give approve non-voting members, or can you just how would that work?
No, we would not need to approve. We invite anybody in any of our committees. Everybody, it's open to the public. They can continue to participate. So they would just call up and participate as a member of the public. And to the extent you are involved in events or other activities, there's no reason that they could not be put on committees and groups like that. So that's essentially how it will work. But we'll only vote on your voting members.
Awesome. So is anyone have any questions about the application process and going forward? No? Cool. Next up, Lauren, do you want a quick overview of the mental health working group? We had a meeting on Monday and it was really short, but do you want to go over what happened and what our next steps are?
Yeah, so it was super short because some of us had to go on to the town council meeting. We just kind of did a recap of the presentation we were going to do. And then we also briefly discussed doing the second survey. So I'm hoping to set up a meeting where we can kind of really debrief in detail about the school committee meeting and kind of implementing their suggestions into our second survey and just how to continue our work now that the bulk of it isn't done, but now that we're kind of over the first hurdle. One thing that came up at the school committee meeting was that we kind of don't want this group to go away, as mental health, that's never going to go away, and the stigma around it, we can try to minimize it as much as we can, but that's never going to go away as a whole. So I think that continuing this group is super important as we get into the summer and as we get into the new school year with just more transitions. I think it's super vital that we keep this group. So I'm hoping to schedule a meeting soon. So keep an eye on your emails.
So do you have any questions for Lauren, mental health working group? No? Communications, Alyssa, do you want to go over what happened at the last meeting?
Yeah, so there's a lot of the time was spent on putting together the presentation for the town council because we had to go by the open meeting law and we could not work on a shared slideshow on our own. So most of the time was spent on that, and we just had some updates from members. Our next newsletter, I think Anthony's starting to put together in the coming weeks, and we're hoping to put together some vaccination outreach promoting kids to sign up and don't worry about having to wait your turn, because it is our turn, and especially now with it opening up to 12 to 15-year-olds, it's definitely important.
Thanks, Alyssa. And I think Thomas will be talking about the vaccines during when he's doing the code update from the health department. So, but Anthony, do you want
I just wanted.
Sorry. This is just a small thing about the newsletter, but I'm hoping to have it done by at least the first draft by the end of this weekend. And I am using Canva as a new software, so it's not just a document; it's an actual newsletter. Lauren was able to get it. She called me working on it, so she got a little sneak peek at it. I think it's looking really great.
Anthony, is that what Jen McDonald set you up with?
Jen used, I believe, Adobe, which I don't believe was free, but I think the style is very similar. So I used a lot of her like design elements.
Great. I want on the communications team, I want to thank Ollie. I asked him because the youth action team who was putting together the news flush asked for a snippet from the youth council, and I emailed him, and he had that whole paragraph over to me in probably, a couple hours. It was amazing, and they were able to produce it, print it, and now it's up in all the middle school. They hung it up today. So thank you, Ollie, for that quick turnaround and getting that information. As the Galvin teachers say, the students really do read that information. So hopefully you all will get some new social media followers out of Ollie's write-up.
Awesome, thanks. So anyone have any questions for Alyssa, the communications subcommittee? No? All right, so any other liaison updates, any meetings that occurred? No one? I know that Lauren is the liaison to the school committee, and that already happened. So anyone else? No?
I just wanted to say that I think May 19th and May 20th is active bystanding. If you guys haven't done so already, I do encourage you to do that. It was really eye-opening for me.
Yeah, I can send that in an email if you guys don't have it already. The HRC is putting on active bystander training that you all should go to if you have the opportunity to. So I can send that in our follow-up email later. Does anyone else have any updates, liaison updates? Cool. All right, Thomas, I know you met with the health department. So do you want to do a quick COVID and vaccine update?
Sure. So the vaccine is likely to get applied for 12 to 15 in Massachusetts tomorrow. It's been can't think of the word, approved for federally, but not statewide. But tomorrow will likely be approved. So rates have been coming down in Wakefield due to the increased vaccination numbers. And on Wednesday of next week, school is canceled, so there will be a free vaccination clinic held for ages 12 to 21. Connolly Pharmacy will be distributing. It's open to not just students, but students of the Voc or St. John's in Wakefield. So parents of students grades 6 to 12 will be getting emails about it, with information, where to go and the time. It's not mandatory. The parents can choose whether or not to get their child vaccinated. And there will be a second one a few weeks after it for the second booster shot.
Awesome, thanks, Thomas. Yeah, I got my second dose 2 Saturdays ago. My 2 weeks are on Saturday. I didn't have any side effects at all. So all of you are over 12 now. So all of us, definitely with your parents' permission, go get it. It's awesome. I feel really protected. So any questions for Thomas on COVID or vaccine updates? It's really, really impressive that our COVID rates are going down. Really excited. Hopefully get back to what normal would be in the summer. So any other questions? Okay, does anyone anything else want to talk about? I know Lauren reached out to me. She has something she wanted to talk about. So Lauren, do you want to go?
I don't know if I remember what I told you. Oh, okay. So we had briefly discussed this a while back, but we're hoping to get some merchandise for the youth council. So we're hoping to have Yana create a logo sometime soon. Not to pressure Yana, that would look good on a shirt. We're hoping to get some t-shirts and some sweatshirts, so stay tuned for that. I know we have to work out how we use it with our budget, but we'll figure that out, so definitely stay tuned for that. I'm very excited. So yeah.
And I also want to talk about that. Hopefully, I think maybe next meeting and the meeting after we'll have an in-person meeting. I know Catherine was talking with Tom Mullen, the town lawyer, to kind of figure out open meeting law, but hopefully checking out soon. Maybe I'll have an in-person meeting, which I'm super excited about because I literally have not met with you. So that's really exciting. So Catherine, do you have any updates on that, or just we're still waiting on lawyers and whatever?
Well, actually it was with Tom, our emergency coordinator, our emergency response coordinator, but Tom Mullen is also involved because they're setting up, and Julie probably knows about this, they're trying to set up meeting spaces so they can be hybrid. I was asking if we could use, maybe one of the tents that's already set up, and if we could Zoom some people in using the Wi-Fi. So we still have to work that out for those of you that don't feel comfortable meeting in person, but would feel comfortable meeting outside. So stay tuned. I've been bugging them about it. So, because I think for now that it's nice out, and for young people, you guys, it'll be good to meet in person.
Yes. All right. Anything else anyone wants to talk about?
I just wanted to mention, I know like last meeting I mentioned that schools are looking for like more indigenous books to put in the libraries, specifically on like Native American history and culture. And I thought that'd be kind of cool for us to contribute, because just to continue our work. And I thought like one of the ideas that we could help is maybe like create like an Amazon wish list, something along those lines. And that way, like committee members who do want to make and like an impact can make a donation towards that, and like towards schools.
I think it's great. I think in the youth council, if we can use some of our budget, we can definitely donate some books. I think that would be a legal way to use our budget, and be able to give books to increase awareness about that. So that's awesome. We can definitely look into that. And so Jenna, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask if there was any way we could schedule a meeting for the Good News Subcommittee. I keep meaning to reach out about it, but my life's kind of crazy right now. But maybe next week or the week after.
Totally. So
just to kind of get things going.
okay. Yeah, definitely, Jenna. I'll talk to Lauren and get her on that. We just had to email Sherry for a Zoom link, but definitely we can hopefully get onto that next week after. Catherine.
Can you email Jack and say which days would be better for the meeting for you? Or email me. And Jenna, congratulations on your bat mitzvah this weekend. And no wonder you have going on. So that's wonderful.
All right. Anything else? Time to hear a motion to adjourn. Oh, wait, hold on. Sorry. We need to set a next meeting date. I apologize. I forgot about that. Sorry, let me look at my calendar. So our next meeting would be on June 2nd, but I have an AP exam that day, so I can't do that. So what are we still liking the 6:30 time, or do you want to do earlier, later? What do you think?
What week are we looking at?
It would be the week of May 31st.
That's senior week for Wakefield. So some of the events are at night, so I don't know how that would work. I just want to throw that out there.
Okay, so maybe we can do the week after then. Wait, when's your graduation?
June.
We graduate the 5th.
June 5th? Okay, yeah. So are you guys taking AP exams in June?
AP
no,
exams will be
we already
done
started.
by May 28th. I think that's the last day. So
yeah,
for us, we're just doing the administration 2-1. So
okay. So would the week of the 7th work better?
Yeah.
Okay, so if we do want to do a Wednesday, June 9th at 6:30, or we can do earlier now because isn't most people out of school, or how's that working? No,
it's only gonna be the seniors.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I think so. June 9th at 6:30. Would that work for everyone? Thumbs up. I'll send out an email reminding, because that's a few weeks away. Put that in my calendar so don't forget. Okay. We can always change it since we have we have time. But I'll put that in my calendar. I'll send an email out. All right. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I motion.
Thanks, Jana. Here a second.
Second.
Thanks, Lauren. Alyssa.
Yes.
Lauren.
Yes.
Summer.
Yes.
Jana.
Yes.
And Jenna. I'm gonna take Jenna as a yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thanks, Jenna. Okay, we officially adjourned, and I will see you all on June 9th. Thank you to our school committee members who stayed. I really appreciate it. Bye, everyone.
Bye.